Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. Today let's talk about air rooting a citrus tree. This is my Meyer lemon, and as you can see we've got a lot of little lemons on here. This is about a 5-foot tall tree. Now I've already air rooted and so that I would have a complete video so you can see the outcome, but I've taken off these two limbs. What I'm doing is like pruning at the same time as I air root it. So I'm going to take off the limbs. I want this tree not to be so tall. So what I'm going to do is I've taken off two. I'm going to take off two more right here. This should bush out and be a little lower profile. It will go ahead and grow up, but it'll be lower profile. And I'm going to take off a little bit on the bottom end. So let me get started. Now, when you're air rooting, it doesn't take very many tools to do this. Now, I'm going to go ahead and air root both of these limbs. And what I'm going to do is, first thing, I'm going to go ahead and cut off any thorns and any leaves that's on this, on the ones that I'm planning to air root. Now, Meyer lemons are definitely have thorns on them. So, but once you cut them off, they're kind of out of the way. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this leaf off down here too. I'm giving myself a pretty good clear area, as you can see, and I'm going to use a razor blade to trim me a place on this limb here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the edge. Now, you want some material that's not fresh growth. You wouldn't want to try to air root up at the top. And I'm going to go down about 1 inch. I'm just making a little score in through the outside bark here, and then I'm going to run a little slit down it between there, and then I'm going to peel this bark off to expose this area. As you can see, this isn't any big chore. Now I have it exposed, and what I'm going to do is scrape this area. I want the green part off. What I'm trying to do is get down here inside. I don't want what I don't want is there to be anything left for this branch to feed back down through. And so we take that part off, and we're going to do the same thing over here. And the reason why we air root these, now I'm growing some citrus from seeds, but that we grow from seed takes 4 to 5 years to produce. When you air root, the piece is at the age of the tree that you're taking it from. So it's actually thinks it's, well, it'll believe that it's older than it is, and that gives it an opportunity to go ahead and fruit right off. In fact, you might have to control how much fruiting actually it does, because you don't want it to overload a young tree starting out. But this area here will be where it'll put the roots out. Okay, now that's the first part of there. Now the next step in this is going to be, we're going to put some growth hormone on here. Now what I'm using here is Clonex. You could probably get by without any hormone at all, because the tree's going to want to grow roots out there. It might just take a little bit longer. This might speed up the process a bit. And we're just going to brush it on here. And then what you're going to need now is a bag. A Ziploc bag is fine, just your common Ziploc bag will work great. And what I'm going to do is I have some peat moss, and I've got it to where it's dripping water out. I'm going to squeeze a little out, but I'm going to leave it real moist. And I'm going to put this in this bag. And this is stagnant peat moss. This works real well for rooting. A lot of it's got to do with the pH, because the pH of this is acidic, so it tends to want to make it root a little bit faster. Now I have a quart bag. I'm not going to fill it up. Now on my other ones I used a snack bag, which is big enough, but I want a little bit more room. And so what I'm doing is I'm filling this up, and I'm just going to zip it closed. And then I'm going to take and cut a slit in this. Okay, I'm going to make a slit in this bag. Now I've taken me a piece of twine. This is just some tomato string that I use, but and I tied it just to the bottom of below, just a little bit below that area that I've cut. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a slit in this bag. So I've got a good size slit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this around this limb. I'm going to push this around it good, and you might not could see that real well, but I'm pushing it around it good. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of this bag, and I'm going to wrap it over this area. And then I'm going to take my twine, and I'm going to use this to secure that tied around there. And we'll just pull this in real tight. And what this is going to do is this moisture, there shouldn't be any reason to have to add moisture. Now you might have to. This is June. In fact, the second day of June that I'm doing this one. And it may, with this hot weather, and you can actually see some water is dripping out the bottom, which is fine. just gonna put this around here so it'll kind of tie off the end of our string. And then once we do that, we're going to take a piece of foil, just regular aluminum foil, and we're going to kind of make it just a little bigger than our piece. And what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this area or this bag with aluminum foil. And the reason why we're doing this is we don't want sunlight on it, for one, but we want to reflect back some of the heat too for the other. So this will work good. We'll make sure it's pressed up tight around it. And then we're going to work on our other one. All right, now all we do is wait. Once we get to this stage of root growth, what we're going to do is we're just going to cut this off of here. And there we go. First thing we're going to need is a pot. And magically compost or potting mix appears. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put some of this potting mix in here, and I've got a citrus fertilizer, and this is an organic, so we're not going to worry about it burning, but we're going to take a couple good handfuls. Now normally when you would pot a plant, or whenever you would transplant a plant, you wouldn't worry about taking and amending the ground because you want the roots to go out. But in a pot, this is what the plant has to have to survive. So you want to make sure it's got the nutrients in there. Now, whenever you're dealing with lemon trees, which this is a Meyer lemon, you have these thorns on it. Lemons are going to have thorns. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this lower leaf off too, but I'm going to take this thorn off. Now you can take and remove these thorns on there. You're going to definitely have thorns. I'm going to remove these lower ones because if for some reason I decide to grab this close to the bottom whenever I pot it up or something, I don't want them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this rubber band I have around here, and we're going to take this bag and we're going to gently try to get this off here because we don't want to hurt any roots. I'm going to go ahead and open it up here, and we can see these roots. And I'm going to split this bag, taking a razor blade, and I'll gently cut this away, try not to damage the roots. Now, because it was split when it was originally put around here, once we get over to that area, we'll be able to take and work this bag off of here. But like I say, we don't want to disturb the roots. Now you can see this has been about 5-6 weeks, and we have a good root ball. Now this is kind of dried out, which is kind of the way that I would recommend doing this. Is you keep moisture, but you don't want your roots to rot. Now I'm going to get rid of this, some of this soil at the top, right here. And well, it's not really soil, but but the mix that we had. And I'm going to take this mix. Now I need to get some perlite. This needs a lot more perlite in it. And like magic, perlite appears. So we're going to take this out of here momentarily, and we're going to put some perlite in here. Now if you got like a citrus or cactus mix, which that's kind of what they recommend using, it would tend to have a lot more. And what this perlite does is give good drainage, because you don't want these roots, and this is going to sit in the pot for a good long time, or a pretty good time. You don't want these roots to not have drainage, because what that's going to do is it's going to create a problem for this plant to where the soil is going to get compacted, and it's not going to do as well. So if you don't have the citrus or cactus mix, well, don't worry about it. Just mix your own. But like I say, make sure you get more extra perlite in there, because it's definitely going to improve the health of your plant. There are a few nutrients in perlite, but it's not so much for the nutrients. It's for the to keep your soil a little bit better oxygenated and drained. Okay, now what we're going to do is, it's going to be simple. We're going to put this plant in here. We don't want to bury it deeper than where we're at right now, and we'll just keep going until we get plenty of soil in here, or let's see, or container mix. And like I say, we've got the nutrients down there in the bottom portion. We're going to encourage the roots to go down. There's some nutrients in this top part, but we're more concerned with the bottom part, getting those roots down lower. Now, what we're going to do is, I'll make sure this is in here solid, and it will tend to go down some, and over a period of time, I'm going to have to pot this up. Normally I start potting them up when the roots start coming out the bottom. But anyway, there's there's the one. That's the process. Now, as you can see on these here, there's plenty of blooms and such, and that's the reason why we'll air layer these, or we'll root them this process, is because now this tree thinks it's a lot older. Well, it is a lot older, because it's at a stage to where it's flowering and going to set fruit. Now, I'm not going to worry about these blooms. Citrus are really well known for pruning themselves. If there's not enough nutrients, the roots can't support it, it'll drop its flowers or its fruit. So if this tree isn't capable of taking and holding its fruit, then it should drop it off. If I see that it's looks like it's maybe stressed, then I'll go ahead and prune it, but otherwise I'll leave it like that. But anyway, that's now we have another Meyer lemon tree, and it didn't cost us but just a plastic bag, a rubber band, a little tin foil, and some potting mix to put it in. Now I'll water this in good, and I'm going to put this in an area to where it'll get filtered sunlight. I don't want it to get direct sunlight. I'll take and put this. I have a table right now that's at a good place to where it gets filtered sunlight, or I can actually put this in my greenhouse to where it'll have 40% less sunlight. But the thing is we don't want to have this have a lot of transpiration, you know, from directly having the sun on it all the time until it gets well rooted. So there we go. And this is what the air rooted plants look like after 8 weeks. They're nice and large. This here is almost 2 foot tall, both of them. They have fruit on them, both of them. This one's still blooming. They've been in this pot roughly about 3 weeks, and that's all it is to it. So I encourage you that if you want to expand your crop with your trees and you don't want to wait a long time for the trees to start bearing, well, just try your hand at air root. The worst you can do is lose a limb on one of your citrus trees. And if you want to see more of my videos, just hit that subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified, and give it a big thumbs up. Happy gardening.